one video, one 60-second to 5-minute video is all that you need to literally change the trajectory of your life. And I know, just stay with me for a second, because I know like people talk about this all the time, like, oh, just like one video, it could change your life and whatever. But I do want to like double down on that really quickly and tell you 3 separate times a singular video has changed my life. Because I mean, I'm literally sitting here, I had this almost like epiphany, if you will. I'm like sitting in the studio that I rent out on a monthly basis to just create content, to create ads and videos and YouTube videos and short form content and all that kind of stuff. And it's just crazy to me how 18 years ago I started creating content, and it was never to make money. It was never like any of that stuff. Obviously that's what it progressed into, but it's just like, it's crazy to think about how like I was just like this 12-year-old kid in my room with an old like Nokia phone, and just like I love playing video games, and that's what I did when I first started, and it just progressed into what it is today. So I do want to tell you kind of like all these different stories, and just also how like what I learned from every piece, or every time like a video that popped off or that did really well, or every time a video changed my life. Hopefully you guys can just see how like this whole like content creation and social media thing, no matter what your friends and family tell you of like, oh, you're wasting time or whatever. Like, I make more now and have built more opportunities now than I would ever have been able to if I didn't create content. And it's even more important now. So let me take you back to one of the first like ever YouTube channels that I made. And actually no, because I was looking at it the other day. I probably made 130 videos before, like I made 130 videos and gained like 60 subscribers. So it was a grind for sure. And I think like that obviously like taught me a lot of that first channel. But again, I was younger and I didn't have any experience. But there was one video, first video that changed my life, we'll say, that I remember it specifically. It was how to find your Wi-Fi password. And I made that video, and here's the thing: like I made the video with no expectation. Like the majority of the videos that have popped off and have been the one to like change my life has been videos that I never expected or had any intention to go viral at all. And it was how to find your Wi-Fi password video, and it was I put it on a YouTube channel, and it was about a month in that started gaining some views and things like that. But it wasn't for like 3 or 4 months that I really noticed anything from that video. And I'll never forget, and I got an email from Google, right? Because YouTube is owned by Google, and they were like, "Hey, we want to like pay you for your videos." And I was like, "What? Like you can get paid?" Like keep in mind, when I first started YouTube, there was no like intention, or there was no like want to make money. I was just making videos because I like making videos. And they sent me this message, and they're like, "Oh, like we want to pay you for this content." And I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." So I was like, I think I was like 14 or 15 at the time, so I couldn't sign like contracts or anything like that. So I asked my dad, and luckily, like at the time, I think a lot of parents, or a lot of like at the time, like older people. Now it's like more of an actual thing that happens. That's a little bit more normalized. But at the time, like my dad just like he signed away, and he's like, "Okay, cool. Like you can make video, like you're making these videos, you can make money from it." And I was expecting like $20 or $30 or whatever. And the first check, I want to say it was like, because it was accumulated over 2 or 3 months. The first check was like $2,500, and I was like, "Oh my, like what the heck? I'm rich. I'm never working again," and whatever. But there's really two main things that I think I could take away from that. Was number one is it was like my initial realization that you can make money from YouTube, right? Which like it completely broke my brain, because it just like it was that initial win that I needed to see, or just like the initial proof of concept of I made a video and then I made money from it. That was just like, that's what initially got me introduced to making money online, right? I don't think like if I ever would have hit that point, I would have never even realized that you could make like actual money from just making videos. So that was the first thing. And the other thing that I kind of like in hindsight looked at it is, I am grateful that it took me like 200 videos to make money, because it allowed me to set the proper expectation that things don't happen overnight. But it also helped me understand that when you can first fall in love with the concept of creating content, and then as a byproduct of that, you make money from doing something that you enjoy doing, that helped me out a ton, because if it would have happened the other way, and this is what I see so many people kind of get wrong these days, is they get into content creation not because they like content, but because they want to make money from it. And what happens, because they get into this like unrealistic expectation of like making money overnight, is they don't actually continue to do the content creation enough to make money, because they burn out, right? Because they're not making the money because they want to make that. And that's like the first thing that happens in their brain is they're like, I'm making content because I want to make money. I want to make money. I want to make money. Because they don't actually like creating content, is they never do it long enough to then actually realize the money that comes from it, if that makes sense. So those are like the two main things that I pulled from that experience. So, after that, continued to create content and made a lot of videos, thousands upon thousands of videos from that into this next experience that I'll tell you guys. And that is, and again, if I point to like, what are the similarities between these things? And it was just like, I just had no expectation or I had no expectation of that particular video doing well, which leads me to this to the second one. So this was it was my Snapchat days. So basically, I had built a channel from 0 to 180,000 subscribers, was doing $20,000, $30,000 a month in take-home income for about 2 years. And it was from a YouTube channel where I was talking about, like, it was basically Snapchat tutorials and social media tips and tricks. But again, the initial video that I created on this channel, and I won't go too deep down the rabbit hole because it would bring me to like a whole different topic. But long story short, the channel that I created, or that I put this video on, that the second video that changed my life, is the channel that I created for. My initial intention was to never talk about Snapchat, was never to talk about any of these things, but I was going to make a podcast with my, with a colleague at the time, online colleague. His name is Jordan. He actually has like 600, 700,000 subs now. He still does the same thing, talking about YouTube. Or not talking about YouTube, talking about Call of Duty. That was like a whole other realm of my experience. And what happened is it kind of fell through. We had this idea, it fell through, never worked. But I was at work one day, and there was this guy who was like, "Hey, do you have Snapchat?" And I was like, "No, I don't have Snapchat. It was too confusing." So I went to YouTube and I was like looking up, how to use Snapchat, and there wasn't any videos at the time. So now in hindsight, looking at that, it was a big opportunity because there wasn't people creating content around it, but there was a lot of search volume, which is now a big part of like the strategy that I implement now. And essentially, I, without knowing it, was creating a video in a niche that was just like super underserved. So I made the video, second video that changed my life. It was called 5 Useful Snapchat Tips and Tricks. And all I was doing was like camera on my phone and just showing 5 Snapchat tricks. And these were like the most basic things. It was like, one was like, here's how to find your Snapchat code. Keep in mind though, this was like when Snapchat was new. And it was like how to find your Snapchat code, how to, get Snapchat score, how to save your Snapchat streak, how to do like colored, just like the most basic stuff, like how to switch your camera. It was just like, it was so dumb, like looking at it in hindsight. But again, it was like I posted that video and I didn't have like expectations. I wasn't refreshing the page every day. I literally forgot that I made the video after I uploaded it because I just didn't have any expectation behind the video. And as I was, it was like a month later, I started seeing a bunch of people adding me on Snapchat. I was like, where are all these views coming from? And I was like, it took me like 2 weeks to figure it out. I was like, oh, I like uploaded that video, and I actually forgot like the login information for that channel because it was the first video that I uploaded. And fast forward like 2 months, I think I went back to the video and it had like 20,000 views. I finally figured out the login information, and it had like 20,000 views. And then, the next day I went back, I was like, okay, this is like gaining some traction. It had like 30,000. And the next day it had 50,000. And the next day it had 70,000. Next day it had 100,000. So I was like, okay, there's something here. And I just took like what anyone would do. It's like, okay, cool. Like this concept is working. Let me just like quadruple down on what's working. Right. And I did. And, fast forward about 2 years after that one singular video, I made multiple videos on that. And it just got to a point where like, because I made that one video, it gave me the idea to then, continue to double down on that type of topic. And I just became like the Snapchat guy. Like I went to events, I got to host events. I was featured in, NASDAQ and CNBC, and I worked with Disney and Coke, and I worked with all these different companies. But again, because I decided to just make that one video and post it, it changed my life. And if we're going back to the whole, I want to give you guys some takeaways from each of these experiences. is, the first is, again, just posting without expectation. I had no expectation for this video. I just like posted it and it ended up popping off. And I think more than that, expectation is one thing. I think emotional connection is another big thing. Because again, like people just get so emotionally attached and emotionally attached. I would say like emotionally attached to the outcome, right? They get so emotionally attached to the outcome to where they're like, oh my gosh, I put so much time into this video and so much effort in this video and it didn't work. And they just like, because they get in this really high, they set this expectation because they put time into it, because they think by their standards is a good video, it's going to do well. But then inevitably what happens, it tanks and they go from this really high to really low, and they don't ever get out of that low because they had such a high, if that makes sense. So I think that's the first thing. The second big thing that I learned, and this isn't like, if you would have asked me this maybe 3 years ago or 4 years ago, I wouldn't have made this distinction or this like thing that I learned. But the thing that I did learn is that I niched down way too deep on that channel. Like all I talked about is Snapchat. So there was a difference between Aaron and the Snapchat guy. Right? No one even knew me by my name. They knew me as Break the Internet was the name of the channel. The Snapchat guy. Like that was literally like my brand. So what happened is like when I tried to pivot out of Snapchat, it didn't work. Now, if I would have stayed more consistent with it and things like that and followed my own advice and post without expectation, then I probably could have like dug myself out of that like hole. But it was just, if I had to give myself, in hindsight, just give myself my today self, basically just like tips or whatever, it would be, try not to niche down so much and focus more on like building your brand around you versus around a topic. Because if you build it around a topic, then it's going to be really difficult for you to like do anything different than that, right? So especially now in 2025 and onward, it's like with AI and all these different things, it's like now we want to be able to build the brand around you, so that let's say you do want to pivot into something else. Let's say you really love health and wellness, but you want to pivot into like business or pivot into, something completely different, is you can bring the people with you because they're not bought into the specific thing or the specific niche. They're bought into you as a person. So that's the second time that, a video that changed my life. Now the third time that the video changed my life, this was probably in 2022. And we had built a business around teaching other people how to become salespeople, essentially. And the channel's still out there. It's called Remote Closing Academy. I won't reveal too much because we're actually going to we're gonna start probably building on top of that again, and it's gonna be really cool. And I'll document the process here as well. But with that specific channel, the video that changed my life was a step-by-step video of how to actually get into remote closing, and around that, it was a video that gained that one singular video probably made over $3 million. And the crazy part is it only had about 100,000 views. Like for probably over a year and a half, it gained like 100,000 views. And what I did, and this is kind of goes back to what I said about the whole Snapchat thing, is because I had found one video that worked well, I just did like the same concept over and over again. But what I did a little bit differently with this new video, or with this new channel, the Remote Closing Academy, is what I would do is I would take the one video and I would duplicate the same video once a year and then swapped out the year. So because that video did well, right, it was how to get started with remote closing in 2022, right? I just remade the video the next year. Literally, I kid you not, I changed nothing in the script. I like transcribed the script because I was like, hey, this video did well. Let me just like copy it. I transcribed the script. I changed a couple of the verbiage things that made it a little more updated. And then all I did was I made the same title and thumbnail. I just switched 2022 to 2023. And guess what? A year later, that video also did maybe not 100,000 views, but it got like 80,000 views. That video also did like $2 million, right? So it was like, again, if we're talking about like the video that changed my life, plus like some takeaways for you guys as well, because that's the first thing, is don't try to recreate the wheel, both on your channel and also external channels. Like if you're first starting out on YouTube, like I would not try to create a new video. Like I would try to go out and search on YouTube, and I have other videos talking about this on the channel, but like go out to other videos and just see what's already working for other people that are in your niche. Maybe not even necessarily in your niche, but just in general, right? Because like if we're looking at the formula of a successful video on YouTube specifically, and this kind of trails onto other platforms as well, But if we're talking about like what is going to make a successful piece of content, well, the successful piece of content is the idea, is the packaging, and is like the actual content itself, right? So the idea, you can just go out there on YouTube and figure out, okay, what is an idea that's already working? For the packaging, you can also find a title and thumbnail. So packaging, I mean title and thumbnail, excuse me. You can find those that are already performing well on YouTube as well. And then the last piece is the information, which if we're looking at the grand scheme, like yes, you want to create valuable videos, but to be honest, that's like the most like doesn't really matter that much. Like as long as you're giving out some information, you're giving people epiphanies and you're good at speaking and all that type of stuff, like the value in the video, right? Value. It's just not, I'm not saying that it's not important. It's just like the lowest on the totem pole of the couple things that we talked about. If you have a good idea and if you have good packaging, like you're 95% of the way there. I'm getting a call and hopefully this audio still records because if not, I'm going to be pissed. So I'm obviously not editing to this video. What was I saying? So that's like the overall idea of the channel. So that's what I would say is takeaway. If you're starting from scratch, don't try to just recreate the wheel. Just go off of what's already there, right? Go off of what's already performing well, and then just add your own spin to it because it's already proven. Now, the second thing that I would say, if I'm taking what I learned from having the Snapchat channel, or even the first channel that I was making some money from, the second channel, which I did really well with, and over to the third channel of like, okay, what's the difference of I made like 10 to 20,000, maybe 30,000 a month, to a point where we're doing 400 to 500,000 every single month. The difference is not focusing on things like AdSense or brand deals or a lot of these like more outdated methods of making money through content, because you don't really have control around those things. You don't have control around the ads that are placed in your videos. You don't have control around like the niche that you're in, which I guess technically if you want to make like a faceless channel you could, but like different niches and different industries on YouTube get different CPMs, which means you get different amounts of money per 1,000 views that you're getting paid. So you don't have a ton of control around that. And also with like brand deals and sponsorships is you don't have a ton of control around the product, right? So, especially these days when there's like literally a crypto scam going on every other day. And, there was, what was it? There was this company called like Yada, I think, and then like Fashion Nova. And there's a lot of really big companies out there that these creators didn't have like back-end access, or they didn't have control around those specific products. Is like their audience basically just got scammed because they don't have control around it. So instead of doing a lot of these more outdated ways, which A, you don't have control over, and more importantly, B, is you're making a small percentage of what they're making, is the epiphany for me was just creating my own product, right? Creating my own product around, and for us, we had the Remote Closing Academy. We had a coaching program in the back end. Easiest things to sell, right? Really high margins. You do it online. There's no physical product. There's no inventory. It's just like you can sell high ticket, right? We were selling it for $10,000, and so it was like we had our own product, so we like could really make, that's the only reason we made $400,000 a month on a relatively small YouTube channel, right? We were probably cracking $100,000 a month with 10,000 subs, I think. And as we continue to grow up to like 40,000, we were hitting about 400 to basically $300,000 to $400,000 every single month from YouTube, right? This is free traffic. The only expenses were basically our editors, right? And that was like we were paying a couple $1,000 a month. So it was just insane there of like how much return was able to be made there. And then also with this channel, right? Shameless plug, like we have a program that we're actually teaching people how to create content, how to create YouTube videos, right? How to build personal brands. That's a product that we sell, and we're able to do $30,000 to $40,000 a month on this YouTube channel. At the time of recording this, has 330 subscribers. So it's like when you really take a look at the just differences and compare and contrast what I was doing before, and I had 180,000 subscribers, and even some friends that I talked to, it's like they have 500,000, 1 million subscribers, and they're barely cracking like $5,000 to $10,000 a month. I'm like, holy crap! Like that's where I used to be. I used to be in a situation where I didn't know what I was doing, and I was just like getting taken advantage of, basically. Like my audience, I was not being able to. I don't say this in a way of like monetizing my audience, but the cool thing about the products that I sell now too is not only can I get behind them because I'm creating them versus going to a brand. However, I can also control the how do I put this? Like I'm controlling the outcome, but I know that I have a product that is like helping people, right? I still to this day I get emails from people that find like my the Remote Closing Academy channel there, Aaron, like you've changed my life. Like, I've made life-changing money, and I've been able to support my family and go on vacations and do all these things because I found your YouTube channel. Even thinking about it, like there's this company that we used to be partnered with, where we took a lot of like our students from the Remote Closing Academy and placed them in there. There's one guy that comes to mind specifically. I think he's like he's probably older now. He's probably about 20, 21 years old, and he's making like $40,000 a month as a salesperson because he found my YouTube channel. Like, that is insane to me. Being able to like make videos that is impacting other people's lives on a point where not only like my decision to make these videos has not only like impacted their lives, but impacted their family lives. And heck, it could even go generationally, right? What is the one difference in the one video I decided to make that not only changed my life, has also changed dozens of other people's lives, whether it's through, each individual person, but also just like from one person, and that person has kids. That one person, their kids have kids, right? It's just like, this is going way deeper than I ever expected it to. I mean, we're already 20 minutes in. So for those of you that have listened this far into it, shout out to you because you're hanging out here. But really the point of this video was just to kind of talk about like how, I'll just end the video here, is if you're thinking about making content, or you're, on the fence or whatever it may be, like agnostic of whether you decide to like click a link in the description and talk to me specifically of how like I can help you, I don't really care about that. Like I feel like I've helped enough people at this point to be like, if I can just help one person from watching this YouTube video, that it inspires you to create content and inspires you to make a YouTube video, and more importantly, do it long enough to where you can then reap the benefits of what we're able to do here, like that's all I want. That's all I want from this video. So hopefully it's helpful. That's 3 times that, three different videos. I to be honest, there's dozens of videos that I've made that have like changed my life in a specific way. And it's only because I've just stayed consistent with it, right? I've been making videos. I can't remember a week out of the last 18 years of my life that I haven't posted content. Like, it's just because I just love it. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you have any questions, let me know. Drop in the comments. Let me know what you think. See you guys in the next one. Talk soon. Bye.